believe in old Earth theistic creation, then I don't have any problem with that. If you think that God created the universe billions of years ago and everything has been unfolding according to the natural laws that God designed this universe with, then I'm not going to sit here. I don't care enough to bicker over, is that a better idea than thinking that there is no God behind it? I don't care. I do think that there's no reason to posit God, but I don't care enough to argue about that.
You don't care enough to argue about whether God exists or not, even if that proposition was true? Like, I don't get it.
Well, as an agnostic atheist, I don't find it worth my time at all.
No, so you don't find, if it was objectively true that God does exist, you find that a useless thing to accept?
Yes, because I'm an agnostic atheist.
Okay, so you're not really, so you're seeking, your inquiry for truth is not based on rationality then. It's just based on emotions. Is that accurate?
No, because I find it is based on rationality. As an agnostic atheist, I don't think anybody can know that a supernatural thing with properties and qualities that are unintelligible and beyond our comprehension, I don't think anybody can know about that. So it's not worth spending any time deliberating on.
I think we're talking past each other here. Maybe
I don't know.
I'm not able to explain myself better. If God does exist, if that means that God, we are granting that we are living in a paradigm where God does exist. You're telling me that you would still not care about this God. Is that your position?
Yes, because it would be impossible to make up your mind about which God to believe in, because any kind of God could exist. So
Okay.
you're playing an infinity. What are they called? Lottery, and
Not really.
you're just as likely to be wrong if you pick nothing versus one thing.
Not really. I mean, we can define God. I mean, that would make it.
Pretty sure infinity divided by 1 and infinity divided by 0 give you the same results. Although I don't know.
What does that mean? It's not a math problem.
Yes,
So
it
if
is.
God is one, and if He is all powerful, all knowing, like what other definitions like do you ought to care about if it was true? Like, I don't get the infinity divided by 0. Like, it's not, we're not solving a math problem, are we?
Yes, we are.
We are?
Do you simply just not understand that it's possible that any kind of God could exist?
So I don't disagree there are false notions about God, but so there's no point talking about things we both agree are false.
Okay, I was wrong about infinity divided by 1 and infinity divided by 0. One answer is infinity, the other answer is undefined. So could you give me hold on. Could you restate your answer there? Sorry, because I was reading this other thing. Do you accept the possibility that any kind of God could exist?
In your question, how are you defining God?
Just the traditional sense that God exists.
Yeah, and that definition entails that God is one.
No,
You might have different.
it absolutely does not.
Okay, so let's define God before we move on. Otherwise, there's no point.
Just tell me what the particular version of the God you believe in is like.
So for me, the most coherent and logical definition of God would be the Islamic definition. Although I would say Christians and Jews also accept that the Abrahamic God is one God.
Yep.
But we are actually more closer. We are more closer to the Jewish understanding of God than the Christian. The Christians have this problem of the contradiction of Trinity.
Yep. That's fine with me. Yep, that's totally fine with me. So, do you think that a person that eats pork will not go to heaven?
Intentionally, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
is it possible that there's a God that exists that doesn't care if you eat pork?
So just to clarify, if you, even in Islam, if you are in a position where you're lost in the jungle and you have no other option but to eat that last piece of pork, you are allowed to. So the ruling
Good.
about eating
Sounds
pork,
like a graceful God. My actual question is, do you think it's possible that a God exists that doesn't care if anybody eats pork for any reason whatsoever?
that a God exists. Again, are we talking about the? Because
The
if I
God
were
I'm
to
talking
define
about
God,
is literally exactly the same as yours, but doesn't care if anybody ever eats pork for any reason.
I mean, you can postulate that's a possibility. Yeah.
Cool.
It's
So
the
that's what I mean. Any type of God could exist. We can take a God concept that's identical to yours, except change one thing about it. Like this God also cares about whether or not you put on your left sock and then your right sock. And there are an infinite number, and whether or not you go to heaven or hell is going to come down to one weird detail. And we can do that ad infinitum. So any kind of God can exist. So
no,
I find absolutely no use in being like, well, this guy's
but
book seems to be the most compelling book, so that's the one God that most likely exists.
we can solve this problem too if you're ready. So out of all the definitions, let's say there's 40,000 definitions of God.
There's an
Out of all
infinite
of them,
number.
well, there's no such thing as an infinite number. Because
That's
you
just simply not true, but go on.
okay. Then I mean, if we are positing that there's infinite possibilities, then there's the whole idea of seeking truth would just become useless. But anyway, we can go back to, let's say, is there's many finite number of possible of definitions of God.
Yep.
Which
Which I'm
definition
pretty sure you agreed with.
which definition of God do we ought to care about if it was true? The one that's saying that it's okay to eat pork and you will go to heaven, or the one that's saying if you eat if you disobey or something like that, there's infinite punishment, or if you obey, there's infinite happiness and peace forever. Which one do you ought to care about? I mean, it's a simple answer, right? I mean, the one that has, if you apply Occam's razor, not Occam's razor, sorry, Pascal's wager, the one that I ought to care about, because our motivations and beliefs are.
Pascal's wager.
So, okay, why are you laughing?
Because we
What's
went over this. Maybe there's a God that exists that says everybody can go to heaven except Muslims. So are you gonna believe in that God also, just in case? Because that God can exist.
Yeah, but that example doesn't make any sense.
Not to
I mean,
you,
what
no.
else is that God saying? Okay, so what is a claim by that God? What other claims is that God making if you accept him as a creator of the universe? The name is not relevant here. It's
The
what's the
problem with
claim?
Pascal's wager is when you make Pascal's wager, you imagine the only possibilities, you imagine a true dichotomy. The hyper specific God I believe in exists, or no God exists. You don't even believe that. So don't use Pascal's wager.
Do you know what Pascal's wager is?
Yes.
Okay. So if I asked you, like, what motivates you to do anything in your life? Like, what is your motivation behind seeking truth, for instance?
I like to learn things.
Why do you like to learn things?
I have no idea. Why
So
do you
you're
do you
doing,
like do you like do you like pita bread?
I like pita bread, yes,
Why?
because it makes me happy.
Why?
That's the last answer I can give. It makes me happy.
Exactly.
Okay, so seeking truth makes you happy.
I enjoy it. Yeah.
Okay, good. That's the answer. And avoiding and falling into falsehood would probably lead to, you're already presupposing that the concept of truth leading making you happy or benefiting you, and the
This
concept
has
of
nothing to
falsehood.
do with what kind of afterlives exist, which is Pascal's wager and where it falls short.
Why do you seek truth?
Because I already answered this.
Because it makes you happy and it benefits you, right?
Yeah, I enjoy it. Yep.
Okay, why do you want to avoid falsehood?
Because I don't like being wrong.
Okay, because it will harm you, or it will cause you pain or suffering, whatever. That's
There
the
are plenty of
actual
people.
answer.
There are plenty of people that lie on purpose in order to make their lives better. So it's
Give
not
me an
that
example.
simple.
Okay, so they ultimately want happiness. That still holds, my point still holds true.
This has nothing to do with Pascal's wager.
This
And
has to do with the idea that your motivations are you're motivated by basically two things: is avoiding pain and maximizing happiness. So when I'm giving you an example of something like a definition of hell or definition of heaven,
yep,
which is the most
if
extreme
there's a
form
hell,
of,
I don't want to go there. But I have no idea, and you have no idea what gets you to go to hell versus heaven, because there are an infinite number of possible afterlives and gods that could exist. You admitted this earlier. So don't
there's
come to
only
me
two
with
claims.
Pascal's wager.
There's only two claims out there about afterlife being extremely painful and extremely beneficial. The one is from Christianity, the other is from Islam. Give me one other religion that makes that claim.
I will do it right now. I have now invented in fact I did this a couple years ago. There's a religion, it doesn't really have a name, but we worship Spanky, and Spanky's rules for going to heaven or hell are completely different. And you have no idea if this is false.
Why should I care if Spanky exists?
Why should I care if your God exists?
Because you will burn in hell forever,
Because if
or
you
you
don't
will
believe
be
in my God,
blessed.
you burn in hell forever.
Okay, so why did you say you have no idea? That's what I'm trying to. I mean,
Because I don't know if yours is the true one or if mine is the true one. If I just sit here and
mean,
claim it was personally revealed to me that mine is true, that doesn't give you any reason to believe me.
so this claim you're making about Spanky, did you just make that up just now?
No, in fact, I have a Spanky Bible.
Okay, and who wrote this?
Spanky.
Okay, where's the rest of it, and what does it claim?
This is it. Every single prophecy in the Spanky Bible has come true. This very conversation was prophesied by the Spanky Bible.
What are the attributes of Spanky?
Every prophet, the exact same as the God you believe in, except he doesn't care if you eat pork. Every prophecy in this book has come true. Future prophecies will continue to come true. Only a divine being could have revealed a perfect text like this. This being is Spanky. Let us slay. So that
Where does it
proves it.
say you're allowed to eat pork in that Bible?
So the law is written in the hearts of men. And those who have special witness and revelation from Spanky are simply guided toward the moral truth.
So it becomes subjective, then it's not in
No,
the
it
book.
comes from Spanky.
Well, it's not in the book. You just
As you, a Muslim, knows, words can be corrupted by men, but Spanky cannot be corrupted.
it cannot be corrupted, but it doesn't even
we
say
go.
if you're allowed to eat pork.
Again, the moral truths are spoken into the hearts of men by Spanky's divine power. And
What's
every
the-
single prophecy in my Spanky Bible has come true.
What's the evidence for that?
What do you mean? Okay,
So-
so here it
so
is. Things will
Spanky hasn't
happen.
spoken to me.
Here it is. Things will happen. This conversation was literally foretold in my book.
So are you lying, or are you speaking the truth right now?
You have no idea, which is the problem.
No,
it is
well, I'm
the
asking you
problem.
A very simple question: is the religion of Spanky, is it man-made or is it divine?
You have no idea. That's the problem.
Well, I'm asking you the question. It shouldn't be that hard, right, to answer a simple question. We can
It
expose
does.
if you are lying or not.
The
We
problem
can
the
establish
problem is
that.
it doesn't matter. Even if I made it up, that doesn't mean that it's not true, because you said that any kind of God concept can exist. You have no idea if Spanky, even if I made it up, that wouldn't prove whether or not this cosmic otherworldly thing is true, because it could be true. You said it's possible.
Okay. What does Spanky have to say about good and evil? What's good and what's evil? How do you punish
Again,
criminals in society?
Spanky's divine wisdom guides men toward what the moral truth is by speaking it into their hearts and consciousness. But you have to have special revelation from Spanky to get it. I was lucky enough to be one of these people, and I think some others are, but it sounds like you were not. So I urge you to allow Spanky into your heart and bosom.
Okay. How do I do that?
Oh, I have no idea.
So Spanky hasn't informed how you allow Spanky to inspire you?
Well, the works of a divine being are, as I'm sure you understand, beyond the comprehension of mere flesh and blood mortals such as ourselves.
So I
But
can
luckily, I have been revealed the truth by Spanky. So,
yeah. So I'd like to reject Spanky's claim because
well, then you're going to hell.
it's yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine
Okay.
because
Well,
so
it's not
far
fine, because hell's not where you want to end up.
it doesn't seem like a proper truth claim to me. It's very inconsistent. It looks like you're making stuff up right now. It sounds like you're lying about a lot of things.
Yeah,
There's
and
no
you and,
objective
and
way.
you can't tell the difference between Islam and Spankyism. That's the problem.
I can.
No, you
There's an
can't.
objective, verifiable evidence of the preservation of the Quran for 1400 years. There's a way to
I literally
establish.
told you. I literally prophesized this conversation that you and I are having right now.
Okay. How many other prophecies do you have?
An infinite number of them.
Infinite number of prophecies.
Yeah.
Can you
Could you name
you
literally?
provide?
Could you name anything that ever happened ever?
Can I name anything that ever happened? So, what do you mean and that's mentioned in the Quran?
It
Or
doesn't. It doesn't matter.
okay. We figured out the universe is expanding in the
Yep. My book foretold that would occur.
okay. Where can I find this book?
I have a Google Doc that I can send you.
Okay. Did you
But
upload
the
it?
most important thing is, once again, if you open up your heart to Spanky, he will speak the divine truth to you, and it will be revealed to you.
Yeah, but it's not coherent because there's no way for Spanky to inform me on how to get inspired by Spanky, so it's irrational.
How does God do that to you?
So the way I know of the truth is I use my logic. I use testimony,
That's
valid
exactly what I do.
testimonial evidence.
That's
Okay.
exactly what I do.
How did you use logic to deduce that Spanky caused the universe?
He revealed it to me. Logic's not even possible without the
Yeah, but
existence of
that's subjective.
Spanky.
Do you know the difference between subjective claim and a deductive logical argument?
This is objective because Spanky is what objectively grounds logic, reality, existence, and all these other things.
So why are we talking about you define Spanky to be the same as the God that I worship?
Yeah.
With the only difference being that Spanky allows pork. What's the evidence for this?
Spanky reveals this truth to people who open themselves up to him. Just like you believe that this apparently happened with Muhammad, God spoke directly to him. Now, you weren't there, and I don't think God speaks to you in the same way that you believe God spoke to Muhammad, so you're just taking people's word for it. I, however, have a different experience. Spanky directly talks to me, and he'll talk to you too. You just have to open your heart and bosom.
So the evidence that of us not eating or God informing us of not eating pork is actually mass transmitted.
What?
It's mass. You know the concept of mass transmission of something that's revealed or seen as to be true by people for over centuries. So if something is mass transmitted and accepted by billions of people throughout history, versus your version of Spanky telling you that it's a subjective experience. You've experienced it. Maybe your neighbors experienced it. It doesn't. I mean, the probability lies more on the side. The evidence leans more on the
See,
side of
if you
Islam than
understood
your
objective
religion.
logic and allowed Spanky into your heart and bosom, then you would know that you're making an ad populum fallacy. According to you, Islam was true when Muhammad was the only person that received the divine truths from God. It didn't matter how many Christians there were in the world or how many Jews there were in the world. And Spanky is objectively true because that's the definition of Spanky, and I know it because it's been personally revealed to me, and because every single prophecy in the Spanky Bible has come true. Spanky prophesied that you would make that argument. Here it is. It's written right here.
Yeah, that's very awakening. Things will happen.
Yeah. Well, this
Okay.
did happen. So, what other possibility? This is the only book where every single prophecy has come true. Jesus hasn't come back yet. He ain't coming back yet. Your book's bullshit too. The moon split in half? The fuck it did. Every single person on earth would have seen that happen and they would have told stories about it, but none of them did.
So if the moon did split,
No, it
you would.
didn't.
Okay, no. If it did split, how would you know? The only way you would know is through
Every
testimony.
single person on earth would have seen it and they would have told stories about it.
Yeah, there are stories about it.
Not
Coming
outside
from,
of your tradition.
there is some evidence coming out from the Indian texts that there was something like that observed back 1400 years ago. But anyway, I mean that is not it's a moot point because if God is all powerful, what's the contradiction in moon splitting or donkeys talking
The
or
overwhelming lack
wheat
of
splitting?
evidence.
No, if a supernatural event did take place a long time ago,
The
how would you know?
overwhelming lack of evidence.
How would you know? What
How do I
evidence?
know that there's an overwhelming lack of evidence?
No. How would you know? How would you disprove the testimonial evidence of people who actually saw it? You can dismiss
By
it if you want.
comparing. Sure. So if you think, again, as I said, if the moon split in half, every single person on the earth would have seen that happen. Yes?
Not necessarily.
So just somehow miraculously, even though there were probably a billion human beings, the only people that saw this were some of the people in your little corner of the world. Well, I don't know if you live there, but the corner of the world where your stories come from. That is so preposterous as to just be laughed away. And if you're going to say, herder, but my God all powerful, and it's in the realm of possibility, then fine. Then I'm going to make the exact same arguments as you are, and my God is just as supported as yours.
So you're not applying your skepticism consistently here. So what if people did see
Exactly.
it and they didn't write it down? Is that a possibility?
No. Okay,
That's not a
in the
possibility.
sense that anything is possible. If your claims rest on not what makes any sense, but what is merely possible, anything is possible. So now we have no reason to go with any claim because I can just present the most implausible imaginable claim and then rest it on the fact that it's not literally impossible or logically impossible. And now nana nana boo boo, stick your head in doo doo, you can't do anything about it. Nobody thinks this way unless they have to because they can't not believe in a claim about a book because they're so fucking scared of getting stabbed in the ass by Satan for eternity.
So yeah, I mean, this argument of being scared and it doesn't work because I mean, like
Yes, it
demonstrated
does.
before.
No.
Your motivations. I mean, so if hellfire does exist, is that something to be scared about, or is that something you're gonna jump into or run away from?
We're not doing Pascal's wager again because we did it.
What?
There's an uncountable number of conceivable afterlives, and you're no more better off believing in the one you do than me believing in the one I do or not believing in one.
Well, there's no. infinite number of conceivable afterlives, because if I define hell to be the most extreme, painful place, and there's nothing more extreme than that, then you cannot have a second hell that's more extreme, because
I
that's
can
how
have
it's.
a hell that's the exact same extreme. Nana nana boo boo.
Okay.
Plus, in your
Okay.
worldview, don't you believe in the devil and jinns, which can trick the minds of men?
Only devil can, not jinns.
Okay. Well, so your worldview completely demolishes even the possibility of having objective knowledge because you can't know if you're being deceived. In my worldview, there is no devil. So these magical things which deceive the minds of men, that is simply not a possibility. You can't know
Do-
that you're not being deceived by the devil. In my worldview, there is no devil.
Right. In your worldview, there is no devil. So
Yep. So how do
how
you
are
know
you
that you're not being
missing that
tricked by the
argument?
devil?
Because devil, the definition of devil, you can only use my definition of devil, right? Not because your worldview does
Yeah,
not have
this
that.
is according to you. It's not according to me. How do
Right.
you know you're not
So
being tricked by the devil?
because the devil does not have full control over the human mind. We have other prayers and other things we could do to stop the devil from deceiving us.
How do you know that the devil didn't write those prayers in order to mask the idea that you're combating against him?
Because it will be a self-contradictory thing for the devil to do, is give you a book with like the Quran, which starts, every chapter starts with the idea or the statement, curse be on the devil, and I seek refuge from God from the accursed devil. That's the each chapter starts with that. So why would a
How do you
devil?
know that the devil didn't write that?
Uh, because it's a self-contradictory claim to make. The idea of the devil is to misguide you. What is he misguiding you to? So you
Yeah.
can be skeptical
And
for
so
infinity.
him giving you the instructions that are intended for you to avoid the devil, but actually get you to go to his hell pit, that would be the ultimate deception. So how do you know that the devil didn't do that?
Like I said, you can get stuck in this infinite regress of skepticism. Then I can ask you, how's the devil not deceiving you about the deception that he has planted, right? How far do you want to go back? So I mean, also you're forgetting the other side, where
So
God
the
does
question
exist,
is, how
and
do
he
you know that
has.
the devil didn't trick you and write those books?
Based on the evidence, based on the scripture.
How do you know
If
that he didn't write the scripture? Or
Because no
she?
one would write, it would entail a contradiction for the devil to curse himself in a scripture.
How do you know the nature of the devil like that? In that way, I should say.
The devil is someone who would want you to burn in hell along with him.
Yeah, so him
That's
writing the
the
book in that way is what would get, ooh, I'm a pumpkin, is what would get you to burn in hell for eternity. So how do you know he didn't write those scriptures?
Yeah. I mean, I could say it's an unfalsifiable claim, but
There you go.
again,
You
there's
believe it
many
through
things
faith.
unfalsifiable.
I'm just going to believe
Yeah.
different things by faith. There.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't
I,
work, buddy.
you know what?
You
The
can.
funniest thing about that
You
is my
can.
book said that you would say that. God.
Right. Right.
I love this
So
Spanky Bible.
we can go back and give you all the arguments for why God exists. So you're
I believe that
defining.
God exists, and the God is
Yeah.
Spanky, and you better start believing in him, or else.
Why is he called Spanky? Why is that the term in English, the English language? What about the people
You
that
think?
lived
Okay,
that lived
first of all,
before
first
English
of
was
all,
invented?
first of all, to merely utter a single syllable of Spanky's true name in English, a trillion cosmos would flare out of existence by the time we got there. Okay? So Spanky is of incomprehensible magnitude and power. Okay? So he gave us a convenient way to understand him, and he revealed his name to be Spanky.
Okay, what about the people that lived before English was invented? What was the name of Spanky?
Again, if I were to utter even a single syllable of Spanky's actual name, a trillion cosmos would flare out of existence.
A trillion cosmos? How do you know
Yes,
this?
because Spanky revealed it. What color is God's beard? The God you believe in, what color is God's beard?
God is independent of any form.
Okay, so what is God's form?
God is independent of any form.
Okay,
He
then
does
tell me
not
anything
exist.
about your God.
He is one, independent,
Okay,
all
what
powerful,
is
and all
God's
knowing.
oneness? Describe it to me.
Oneness is his nature.
What
He's
is his
one.
nature?
He's unique, unlike any other thing in the creation.
Every turd that's ever come out of my ass is unlike anything else that's ever been created. So tell me anything about your God.
So God is independent. He is not dependent on anything else in the universe. He is all powerful and all knowing and all wise. This is the definition of God we are working with.
What does any of that mean?
In the English language, all powerful would mean something that is has the most amount of strength. You cannot overpower it. All knowledge would mean something that has most amount of information.
These are just words. There's
Yeah.
absolutely nothing here. So
You want sign language?
for me to say Spanky's name is like that is
How
exactly like
else?
what you're doing.
I mean, I can only
His name
communicate
his
to.
name is infinite in its scope, and like it couldn't be ever be pronounced. Just like your God could beat up my dad.
I mean, I can only communicate to you using words, right? I mean, unless
And
you
I
accept
can
sign
only
language.
communicate Spanky to you in words. It doesn't capture his actual perfect omni nature, but luckily Spanky revealed to me his truth. And if you open your heart and bosom, the same thing will happen for you.
What did Spanky have for people that lived 5 million years ago?
What does he have for them?
Yeah, what was the revelation? Since it revealed his revelation to you only so far.
I
How
think
how
he's
did they get
revealed things
salvation?
to other people too.
Subjectively, like everyone has their own laws.
We've been over this. Spanky reveals,
Yeah, I'm
guides the
dismissing
moral
Spanky
nature
though.
of man by his divine presence.
Do you know the reasons I've dismissed Spanky
What?
as a rational thing to believe in? Because your God is revealing laws to every other human being, and every other human being is going to interpret those laws differently. So it's not a consistent way
The
of
ones
knowing
that
who
don't
God is.
actually have the truth revealed to them and don't act in accordance are the ones that are wrong. And I know this because it's been personally revealed to me.
Okay, so it's unfalsifiable.
Yeah, just like yours.
No, my definition of God, my religion might be falsifiable. Yeah, of course, my definition of God is not. So how do I know
Yeah,
about
so there we
God?
go. So
Through
there's
that
no
religion.
reason for me to believe in your specific God versus
But yeah,
mine.
there's nothing that your God has revealed that I ought to care about so far.
Same's, bestie.
What?
Ditto. What you just said about Spanky is exactly the case with your God.
What is that? What's the case?
You essentially said nothing I've told you gives you any cause for believing in the God I believe in, and I said, yes, same's, bestie.
No, it's not the same.
It is.
It's not the same.
It is.
You're, and you know this because I can't prove to you or to others that you're lying about Spanky because that's something you just created,
And you have
right?
no idea
You
if Muhammad lied about whatever.
So yeah, we could look into that evidence of whether he lied about it or whether he was deceived or whether he was yeah, there's only 3 or 4 options, right? Whether he lied, he was deceived, or he was speaking the truth. There's
Or
three
other
options.
people made it up.
Okay, other people made it up. You can put that on the table too.
Yeah. It's
So
like, for example, if a
when
story
you
said that the moon split in half, but there are zero accounts of that anywhere else in the world, then this is how we know that that claim was made up.
no, that's I mean that's a historical evidence. So you have to there's no logistically possible way of establishing that to be the case, because you have to go in the past and interview
And there's
every
no
single
way
person.
for and there's no historical way to verify that your prophet, who's a historical figure, yada yada yada, exact same thing. There's no way to do it. Thank you for admitting it. I have no
No, there's
reason to believe what you believe in, according
there is
to you.
so the Quran is falsifiable.
Tell us how we would falsify it.
There's two falsifiability tests in the Quran. One of them is to provide or produce or establish a contradiction, or to produce
The
something
moon
wrong
didn't split in
in the
half.
Quran.
There we go. Sperm doesn't come from between your ribs and your back. There we
That's
go.
not what the Quran. That's a misreading of the text. Again, this
Oh,
has
so the
been
text has been
debunked.
corrupted? Uh-oh.
No, the myth it's been corrupted by people who interpret it
Uh-oh.
wrongly.
Uh-oh. And we have no idea how many times that's happened. Now we can't trust a single word of your book. Whereas my book has and always will be true.
Okay, that doesn't really help. Things will happen.
Goodbye.